I've served as a police officer for nearly 2 decades, and I've encountered my fair share of unsettling cases. But nothing could have prepared me for the relentless nightmare that awaited me when I received a call to the same house. A call that would lead to a tragic and harrowing conclusion. It all began with a seemingly routine dispatch on a cold, moonless night. The address was etched into my memory like a dark omen. A decaying Victorian mansion on the outskirts of town. The house had a reputation, a history of strange occurrences and whispered legends. It was known as Blackthorn Manor, and it stood as a sinister sentinel, its dark secrets hidden behind overgrown hedges and an imposing wrought iron gate. As I approached the house, dread settled in the pit of my stomach. The air grew colder, and an eerie silence hung over the neighborhood, broken only by the faint rustling of leaves in the wind. The house loomed before me, its once grand facade now marred by years of neglect and decay. The call had come in as a domestic disturbance, a neighbor reporting loud, anguished cries emanating from within the house. But as I stood before the ominous structure, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was no ordinary disturbance. There was something palpably sinister about the place, something that sent a chill down my spine. I approached the front door cautiously, my footsteps echoing in the silence. As I raised my hand to knock, the door swung open of its own accord, revealing a dimly lit interior. The air inside was heavy with a sense of foreboding, and I could hear faint, eerie whispers carried on the stale breeze. I entered the house, my flashlight cutting through the oppressive darkness. The walls were adorned with faded wallpaper, peeling and stained, and the floors creaked beneath my every step. The air was thick with the musty scent of decay, and a feeling of unease settled over me like a shroud. I followed the sound of the cries deeper into the house, my heart pounding in my chest. The cries led me to a small, dimly lit room, its walls adorned with faded family portraits and decaying furniture draped in dusty sheets. In the center of the room, I found her a young woman, her face contorted in anguish, her eyes filled with terror. She clutched a tattered photograph to her chest, her fingers trembling with fear. She didn't seem to register my presence as I approached her, lost in the depths of her own torment. "Ma'am, are you all right?" I asked gently, my voice barely above a whisper. She turned to me, her eyes vacant and haunted, and let out a blood-curdling scream that chilled me to the bone. It was a scream that seemed to echo through the very walls of the house, as though it were a cry for help from the very soul of the building itself. I tried to calm her, to reassure her that I was there to help, but it was as if she couldn't hear me. She continued to scream, her voice growing hoarse, her eyes locked on some unseen horror that I could not fathom. In that moment, I knew that something was terribly wrong with the house, that it held a malevolent force. I radioed for backup, but my calls went unanswered, swallowed by the oppressive silence of the house. As I tried to approach the woman, she suddenly stopped screaming and turned to me, her eyes filled with a strange, unsettling clarity. She spoke in a voice that was not her own, a voice that seemed to emanate from deep within the house itself. "Leave this place," she whispered, her words carrying an eerie weight, "before it claims you too." Before I could react, she lunged at me with unnatural strength, her fingers clawing at my throat. I struggled to break free, but her grip was like iron, unyielding and relentless. In that moment of desperation, I drew my weapon and fired a single shot, striking her in the shoulder. She released her grip with a guttural cry of pain and crumpled to the floor, blood pooling around her. As I radioed for an ambulance, I couldn't shake the feeling that I had just narrowly escaped a fate worse than death. The house itself seemed to pulse with malevolence, as if it were a living, breathing entity that had lured me into its clutches. The paramedics arrived soon after, rushing the injured woman to the hospital. I provided a statement to my superiors, recounting the strange and horrifying events that had unfolded within the house. But my words fell on deaf ears, dismissed as the product of a traumatized mind. I couldn't forget the woman's warning, the chilling voice that had seemed to emanate from the very walls of the house. I couldn't shake the feeling that the house fed on fear and suffering, and that it had claimed yet another victim. Days turned into weeks, and the incident at Blackthorn Manor faded from the public's memory. But I couldn't let it go. I became consumed by an obsession, a determination to uncover the truth behind the house's dark history. I delved into the archives, scouring old records and newspaper clippings for any mention of Blackthorn Manor. What I discovered sent a chill down my spine. The house had a long and sinister history, with a string of owners who had met gruesome and untimely ends. There were reports of suicides, unexplained disappearances, and even accusations of witchcraft dating back centuries. One name in particular stood out, a woman named Eliza Blackthorn, who had been accused of witchcraft and condemned to death by burning at the stake in the late 17th century. Her evil spirit was said to linger within the house, cursing all who dared to enter. The more I dug, the clearer the pattern became. Each owner of Blackthorn Manor had met a tragic and gruesome fate, as if the house itself were exacting a terrible toll. It was as though the very fabric of reality was twisted and distorted within the house's walls, and all who entered were condemned to suffer its dark whims. I couldn't let the entity of the house go unchecked. I returned to the mansion, determined to confront the entity that dwelled within and put an end to its reign of terror. The house seemed to welcome me, its walls pulsing with a sinister energy. I ventured deeper into its depths, guided by a relentless determination to uncover the truth. In the heart of the mansion, I found a hidden chamber, its walls adorned with arcane symbols and ancient texts. In the center of the room stood a towering mirror, its surface shimmering with an unnatural light. As I gazed into the mirror, I felt a searing pain, as though I was being torn apart from within. The room trembled, and I could hear the whispers of 1,000 tormented souls echoing in the darkness. The mirror revealed the true nature of the evil force within the house, an ancient and insatiable entity, a collector of souls that transcended time and space. It spoke to me, its voice a chorus of anguished cries. "Join us," it whispered, its voice filled with a sinister allure. "Embrace the darkness, and you shall be free." I shared this account as a warning that the malevolent force still linger in the remnants of the shattered mirror, waiting for another unwitting victim like you. If you ever receive a call to the same house, heed my warning and stay far away. For within its decaying walls lies a darkness that will claim your soul and never let go.